Welcome back, everybody. My name is Dave Hayes, and this is Life Post-Stroke. What we're going to talk about today is a Epiphone Texan. It is an all-solid wood guitar, meaning it has a Sitka spruce top with solid mahogany back and sides. It's got a mahogany neck on it. It's just a nice guitar. It's a nice old guitar, and it has that vintage Epiphone/Gibson sound. Because remember, the Epiphones, the good ones, well, actually all of them, they didn't make real cheap ones back then. But both Epiphone and Gibson were made in the same plant. So the Gibson and the Epiphones were all made in Kalamazoo, Michigan. And when they made them in Michigan, they were making them out of the exact same woods. They were being made by the same luthiers, which is a guitar maker, and pretty much everything was exactly the same. The old Epiphones are basically a Gibson. When we come back, I'm going to bring you guys along for the ride with me when we go to re-glue the bridge down on this guitar because it started pulling off. As soon as we come back, we're going to go ahead and start this project. All I was going to do is strip the bridge of all what? We were going to take the nut out. We were going to take all the external bolts off. This has the old-fashioned adjustable bridge. We were going to take all that out so we could go ahead and get started. And I'm going to show you why that is. Basically, they glued on top of the finish. Instead of cutting the finish away to bare wood and then gluing the bridge on, they glued it right over top of the freaking finish. And that's how most of the big guitar manufacturers did it back then. So let's go ahead and get a closer look at this, and I'll show you all what we're doing with this and where we're at right now. So basically what we did was we scored around the bridge so that when we chip this finish off of here and get it back to bare wood again, it doesn't chip away into the finish. And I know it is going to inevitably chip away some of this finish. I know there's no getting around that. But to eliminate most of it, we scored around it. If you look at the bottom of the bridge, it's got two bolts that go through the top of the guitar, and there's little nuts and washers that holds the bridge in place.
And that's the only thing that's keeping it on.
Exactly. Those two bolts, and I don't even think the glue was holding, because once I loosened up the bolts to these, the nuts to these, I could feel the whole bridge move. That's what was holding this bridge on. So, like I said, I took the little nuts off. We put everything into a little plastic bag so we don't lose anything. I also removed the adjustable nut that goes in here, and that nut is right there. That nut is made out of, it's just rosewood. It's a rosewood nut. I'd love to be able to fill that and have it recut and put a bone nut in there, but you know what? I'm just happy that we're going to get this fixed. Even though the bridge was lifted on this and everything, the strings were the strings were very low. Yeah, it wasn't like this guitar was hard to play or it was very, uncomfortable. But what we got to concentrate on right now is scraping off this finish. And I'm not going to have you guys watch what we do, but I wanted to bring you guys along for the ride with us while we get this guitar prepared and re-glued and get my bridge re-glued back on there. And I figured we'd go ahead and record it. So next time you see us, we'll have this scraped, all the finish off of here, and ready to glue the bridge back. So basically what we did was we scored around the bridge. We had the bridge, we dropped it down into its pre-drilled holes where them little bolts were sticking down through the bottom of the bridge. And I just took a very, very sharp knife and scored around the bridge so we could cut through the finish. Because here's the reason why the old bridge lifted to begin with, was they glued that bridge on top of the finish that's there, which is something you don't do. That's a big no, no, no. So what we're doing is scraping away the finish now. What I'll do is when I glue this up, I'll glue it up and I'll put them bolts back on it and tighten them up to pull that bridge down. Then I'll put my clamps on it. So this should be a really nice glue up job. That's exactly how you do it now. It took us a long time to find. I have probably 20, 30 chisels, and do you think I could find a single chisel? Yeah, we found one single chisel. All right, we'll bring you back when we get a little further on down the road with this job. Okay, ready? Okay, we have everything sanded, chipped away. I sanded the back of the bridge. Noah sanded the guitar top. It actually went very well. We have a couple very small nicks in it, but you know what? They're battle scars. And that just goes to show that when you have an old guitar, things happen. And this is only the second time I've ever replaced a bridge. So what we're going to do is we are going to take our wood glue, and we're using the same glue that we used on his guitar, on his Gibson that we fixed, and we're going to use it on this. The nice thing about working with like an Elmer's or it doesn't set. You have a lot of time to work with it. So Noah's being very, very cautious about how he puts the glue on. Last time we were like rushing around. We were so scared it was going to dry on us. This time we're taking our time. We are using a little brush to brush it around to make sure it's nice and even the whole way around. And this time for us, less is better. That looks good, Noah. Okay, let them see how you have that covered on both sides. Okay, here we are, day 2, and it has to set. Well, it's actually, you could probably pull the clamps off of it. I pulled the center clamp off of it, but we're leaving the end clamps on yet until about 6 o'clock tonight. Then we're going to go ahead and pull the last 2 clamps off of it. But I wanted to show you where we're at on this right now. While I have all the strings off and I have everything stripped off of here, I took a razor blade and I scraped the fretboard, okay? And when I say scrape, you just hold it flat and you just scrape it back and forth. Basically taking off the old oil kind of gunk, you know, the stuff from your fingers, stuff like that. I'll never get out the big divots, and I wouldn't want to. Even Noah said, you know, no, they need to stay there because that reminds us of who used to play this guitar and the history with it, you know, which is a big family history thing. So we left that in, but the inlays really cleaned up nicely. And then what I did was I took paint pen, you know, then once you shake up with the paint inside, and I went around and dabbed a couple of spots on the top up here on the peg head, because I kind of wanted to fill some of the deep scratches and the nicks. It's got some pretty big nicks up here. But again, it's not going to look new. It's not going to look, you know, pristine. And I don't want it to look pristine. I want it to look like this. But as soon as this gets done drying tonight, we're going to let it go until tomorrow to give it, you know, even another night for it to dry. And then we will go ahead and put strings on. Now, one thing I did do is I took this cover off, and this is the adjustment for the neck. I took that cover off, and I have no tools whatsoever that will fit the nut on the end of that. And what I wanted to do is I just wanted to check that to see if it was loose and if I could take a little bit of tension back, because this is straight as an arrow. There's no, you know, anything like that. So it could actually have a little bit of back pressure on it. Again, before you adjust that, take all the tension off the strings, you know, then, and don't ever go more than a quarter of a turn at a time. String it back up, get the tension, check everything, you know, and go from there. So, all right, I will bring you back whenever the glue on the fretboard is dried, and we'll go from there. Okay, Noah is putting Noah's putting the bridge back in. This is a two-piece bridge on this guitar, and I hate these, but, you know, and I was talking to Noah about, you know, I want to replace it. Noah is more for the historical value and keeping it original, and I get it. I mean, it came with a rosewood bridge, and Gibson didn't change that until the 70s, so, you know, this is what this guitar sounded like. We want to try to keep it sounding like an old Gibson. Listen to the Gibson Epiphone.
Fun fact. This guitar was made in the same factory as my Gibson.
Yeah.
Classical.
Yep. So Noah has a 1964 Gibson classical guitar, and it was made in the same factory as this, Kalamazoo, Michigan, and maybe even by the same person, nobody knows. Yeah. Now, he took that all the way down. This is an adjustable bridge. I hate this. That's why I want to get rid of it. Not get rid of the guitar, but this. I don't like adjustable bridges because you don't get the music flat on the guitar anymore. If you raise that bridge up, you have an airspace between this.
It's tight, but I can loosen it a little bit if you want.
So just take it down till it touches, and then you're good. That's it. Yeah, if it's snug, that's good. You don't have to. I want to make sure that that bridge is sitting on top of the.
It's now like almost. It's about a quarter turn.
Take it down and. Yep, take it down and when it stops screwing, it's tight. There you go. Yep, tight is tight. When it stops screwing, it is at the bottom. That's where I want it. Plus, remember, we want to try to gain as much room as we can get. We may have to take it back up. Hopefully, you know, I think the neck has enough of a rise in it because this could probably use a neck reset, but we're not going to reset the neck. We're not doing that. I don't have the money, number one. I wish I did. If I did, I would have this thing set up like brand new again, but I don't. And I'm happy with it. Even before we did the bridge, with the bridge ripped out and sticking up in the air, which put string height on it, it sounded good. It played great. I ran a drill bit down through these holes because they had some glue. In there. looks like a very well cared for old guitar, yeah. So if I can zoom in on the neck.
It looks like it was somebody who took care of it.
Yeah, as you guys can see, the neck looks really, really nice. Now, notice those diamond inlays just pop. So you'll see when we get this done, I'll have a nice straight-on shot, and I'll let you guys see it. But while we're here, and I have this zoomed in.
Everything I like about this guitar, you can tell he's what type of
Yeah,
he's been playing.
we'll show that tomorrow too, the cowboy chords. I wanted to give you guys a good look at the bridge job Noah did. Outstanding, because he did all the cutting and scraping. I have no control over my right hand anymore. Yes, it's got some battle scars, you know. I don't care. You will get that when you reset a neck. Yeah, I'm not a professional. This is only the listen to me reset a neck. You'll get that when you replace a bridge. This is only what our second guitar ever putting a bridge back on. So I think we did pretty damn good.
And we gotta do a little.
This had absolutely no tear out. So there's a very, very thin layer of glue in there, which is what you want. Now, of course, when we did this, you guys saw, you glue on both pieces, 100% coverage. But what you don't want is just gobs of glue, and then when you put it on, when you squeeze it down, it's just glue everywhere.
It came out like
it squeezed out. It bubbled out the whole way around, especially when we tightened down the clamps. Because this top's got a little bit of a bow in the top, and that's just from years, yeah. And when we put the clamps on, just the outside clamps, it hit this first, and it just put nice, even pressure the whole way across. So it actually turned out pretty good for us. I didn't even need that third clamp. We used it, but I didn't need it.
And no glue went into the screw holes.
Yes, no glue went into the screw holes that adjust this up and down.
In there, so.
Yeah. Okay, we have the bridge on it, and we strung it up. So far, everything's holding. We did let it sit overnight, an extra 12, 14 hours. You don't have to, guys, just so you know. When the glue is dry, it's dry, but we were just kind of freaked out. But the bridge is holding nicely. The action on the guitar is actually very low. We might have to raise the bridge. Kathy. Demonstration. Okay, hey guys, we are at the end of the video, and as you can see from the previous video, I showed you some close-ups of it, and it has been, what, Noah, about how long?
2 days.
It's been about 2 days now, and everything's holding up great, no separation, and the guitar sounds phenomenal. I would have never guessed that this guitar it's completely changed the sound of the guitar. You guys probably won't notice it, because our microphones do not pick up the subtle nuances that a guitar puts out, but we can hear it.
Well, we recorded it when the bridge was broken, and it was a little bit muffled, but you can really hear it now.
Hopefully,
yeah.
I will try to look for the old recordings, and I'll put some in here so we can do a side-by-side, but we're going to go ahead and let Noah play it, let you guys hear what it sounds like. put on my pick here real quick, and while I'm at it, you just keep an eye on the video. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and use the pick that we purchased.
No, you want this one to be looking at you.
Yeah, both of them are looking at me, but you know, it just gives different angles. So I'm gonna go ahead and use this pick that we purchased for people that have handicaps, and it's nice. I wish the pick was thinner. Okay. And I'm just going to play straight chords. I'm not going to try to do any picking or anything because I'm still trying to get used to it. Man, I can't believe how this sounds. Okay, we're going to play a G, C, D, A minor 7, E, A minor 7, maybe some bar chords. I can't believe how low these strings are. So, there you guys have it. If you have an issue with your bridge coming off, I recommend watching a lot of videos on YouTube and just reading some books. Do your own research because you can do it. Yes, you're going to need some specialty tools. We needed to get some clamps in a big way, right?
Yeah.
The clamps were the hardest things to find because you do need special clamps for this. The only thing I can tell you is take your time. We were lucky. The bridge came off for us very easily. The only thing that was holding it on were these two pins actually, and a couple spots of glue. But if your bridge is being held on by like a lot more glue than ours is, get a real thin putty knife, heat that putty knife up, put it in there and try to melt the glue out, and there you go. Try not to cut the wood, yes. Make sure you sand smooth or scrape smooth both the bridge and the base of the guitar, and I would put the bridge back on the guitar, trace around it with a razor, and take off any finish that's going to impede the bridge from sitting flat on the wood. And then be sparingly on the glue. Yes, you can put a whole bunch of glue on it, but you want to make sure you squeeze out almost all of it just so it has a nice smooth coating of glue, and then wipe up your excess.
Yeah, just don't do what we did the first time.
Oh my god, we went way overboard with the glue the first time, but we learned from our mistakes.
Actually,
The last thing, yeah, go ahead and get it. The last thing I want to show you is the string height on this. Between the 12th fret, top of the fret, and the E string, the low E, maybe I could fit 2 dimes in there. This guitar's never been this low since I've used it. And the sound is just phenomenally loud coming from this guitar. With that being said, I'm going to close this video out by letting Noah show you the other guitar that we fixed. And of course, this one here is the Gibson, and this is a 1964, 1 year newer than my guitar. But this is not an Epiphone, this is a Gibson, classical, 1964. So we're going to close this out with him playing it. If you like the video, think about hitting that like button. If you're new to the channel, think about subscribing. With that said, we'll see you all on the next one.